Hello everybody, welcome to the video, welcome to the channel if you're new. My name is Jake. Today we're going to be looking at some players in Football Manager who will almost certainly be getting an upgrade in FM21. Now this isn't necessarily because Football Manager underrated them, it's just because they've had breakout seasons, and I think that these players will just be even better in the next installment of Football Manager. Now if Football Manager content is the kind of thing you're interested in, then feel free to stick around, hit that subscribe button because there's going to be a lot of content on this channel in the build up to FM21, as well as all throughout FM21's lifespan. We're currently pushing for 200 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you could help us do that, then that'll be amazing. Hit the like button as well if you do enjoy today's video, just to push our content out to more people and find hopefully new viewers for the channel and help this community grow. So without further ado, I won't mess you around, we'll get into the first player who I think is due an upgrade in FM21. Okay, so the first player we're going to be looking at is Edouard Mendy. Now I'm not going to lie to you, the majority of this list, probably at least half of it, are Premier League players because the Premier League is the league that I watch the most, and I can easily identify when there is a player that isn't rated as good as they are in real life. Now I'm not saying Edouard Mendy is the best winger in the Premier League or anything like that, but we know that he was, for quite a few years, all he was just he had pace and no real end product, but it seemed like last season he added that to his game and he became like a threat to any team who faced him. Football Manager have given him 20 acceleration and 20 pace already in FM20. Obviously FM21 isn't out yet, so this is their stats in FM20, just so we can see what they look like right now before their expected upgrade. So like we can see here, he's very fast. He's probably a bit stronger than 15 strength, but 15 strength isn't bad for a winger at all. My main concern comes in his technicals, where he has no crossing ability really, even worse finishing ability, and pretty poor passing too. I mean, all of them 10 or lower, which is really poor for a winger of his quality. And often if you run a Football Manager save out, you'll find that Edouard Mendy doesn't even crack it at Wolves. He ends up doing even worse than Wolves, where in real life last season he was linked to, I know they were just media links, but £100 million moves to Liverpool, all this were linked. Yet if you look at this player here, he just looks like some fast player who could be playing in League One for all you care, because he's got really poor stats everywhere, from work rate vision, teamwork positioning, to marking, long shots, finishing, passing, corners, crossing, anticipation. It's all really low. I mean, other than his like physical stats in terms of his pace, if you take away dribbling, he's got pretty much nothing over 12. The only outliers are his technique, which is at 13, and his flair, which is obviously at 18. For me, Edouard Mendy is going to have a good season this year, and even if he doesn't, he just should be rated higher than this because he basically can just run, and that's it. Moving on to an Everton player now, there's going to be two Everton players in this list, but the first one is Richarlison. Now, I'm not saying that these players aren't rated highly at all, because in Football Manager, Richarlison is still a pretty good player. You can see his stats all round are pretty decent. I just don't think he's very good in the game compared to how he is in real life. Some of his stats, especially his technicals and some of his mentals you can see here, just aren't very high. And now 14s, 15s aren't bad at all, but then you get your odd like 12 and 11 rating. Now I'm not saying that he should have 16s, I just think that across the board he will get an upgrade in the next Football Manager, almost guaranteed, especially playing for Carlo Ancelotti's Everton right now. But here, I don't know, something just doesn't sit right with me about Richarlison in Football Manager 20. I think he needs to be buffed up a bit for the next Football Manager, and I expect that to happen. Now, moving on to a player who is criminally underrated in Football Manager and also in real life too. He's finally starting to get the respect he deserves. I'm a Chelsea fan. I remember when this guy played, I think it was against Tottenham. He came on as a sub, it was Tariq Lamptey, someone got injured. He came on, it was either Tottenham or Arsenal, and he looked really impressive. Now Football Manager have given him the pace that he does have in real life, but other than that, he is absolutely shocking. You can see his technicals here. I think 8 is the highest for any technical, which is terrible because this is a guy who's dribbling past people, he's putting in crosses, being one of the most threatening players in the division right now in the Premier League. He's bound an upgrade, not just a little one, a significant one too. Tariq Lamptey is a really good prospect for the future. My favourite thing is, in real life, he's being linked with Bayern Munich. In Football Manager, he's being linked with Leyton Orient, Macclesfield and Plymouth. That shows you how much of an upgrade he needs. He doesn't even make the Brighton first team in Football Manager. He's always in the under-23s and eventually moves on to a League 1 or League 2 team. So I think Tariq Lamptey definitely needs an upgrade. It goes without saying that these stats aren't good enough. I don't have to go into why. So Sports Interactive, Tariq Lamptey, give him a boost. Now moving on to a player that probably wouldn't have crossed many people's minds, and this is just a really small upgrade I'm thinking about here. Goretzka is a decent player in Football Manager. He's a good player in real life. He'd probably get a few upgrades after Bayern Munich's Champions League win, so you can expect his technicals and mentals to go up a little bit. But the thing I'm expecting to go up quite a lot is strength. His strength is 13. We've all seen them pictures about Goretzka where he got injured. He came back a few months later and it was like Bayern Munich had fed him 6 bears or something. He was absolutely ripped, absolutely huge. I think on the next Football Manager, with a few technical upgrades and his strength being really high, he's going to be one of the most sought after midfielders in the game. He's only 3 stars on this Football Manager. I'm managing as Bayern Munich too, so this is probably the most accurate report you'll get of him. They don't think he's very good and potentially could be a good centre midfielder. So it's only a small thing, but I think they will buff his strength up, and I think Goretzka is due an upgrade. But the person that I'm really interested about seeing an upgrade from in this Bayern Munich team is Alphonso Davies. We'll click on him here. We can see with Davies, he's currently a 2.5 ability player. Now, that's not Football Manager's fault. I know he wasn't a starter for Bayern Munich at the start of the season, really, but he has stepped into the team, and he doesn't just look like a good left back for Bayern Munich. He looks like one of the best left backs in the world. He's obviously got the potential in Football Manager, but he never seems to reach it. He never seems to do that good. But it's just little things like, yeah, he has got his physicals. He could probably have an upgrade on his physicals, to be fair. Everything else is really poor. You see this guy's dribbling around players for fun in real life, making experienced players look like they've only played football today. He's got poor passing, poor tackling, all that kind of thing. But in reality, he's an absolutely brilliant left back. He's definitely due an upgrade, and he is going to be probably the best left back in Football Manager in terms of if you can buy him, you've got a left back who's going to set you up for 10 or 20 years. So Alphonso Davies, I think, will definitely get an upgrade in the new Football Manager. Moving back to Merseyside now, to Everton, and it's a player who I think has surprised everyone. I don't think Football Manager got him wrong. I think he's just really pushed himself, kind of like what Harry Kane did a few years ago, where he wasn't actually that good, but then he really pushed himself and broke out into that Tottenham team, really improved himself, and CalvertLewin has done a similar thing. On Football Manager, he's as average as you get for a striker, probably won't make it in a Premier League club, probably ends up being a Championship striker in Football Manager, but in reality, he's just been the Premier League Player of the Month. He's taken the Premier League by storm. I'm hoping that he will get an upgrade, even if it's just a small one. He deserves one. He's like your stereotypical average striker on this game. His physicals aren't the best, his technicals aren't the best, and his mentals are just average. You could easily expect his passing, his finishing, his heading all to go up a little bit, as well as some of his physical stats like his jumping reach. And based on the way that he's performed this season, his determination should definitely go up. This is a man who, in reality, probably wasn't good enough for Everton's team last season, but he's obviously worked hard on the training ground to get Ancelotti to pick him. And even though Everton have done this complete rebuild, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is still that man in the middle. And there's obviously a reason for that. He's obviously proven something to Ancelotti. And I think Football Manager will see what he's done in the Premier League so far and give him a bit of a boost in terms of his stats. Another player we're going to be looking at is Ollie Watkins. Obviously, he is a Premier League striker now, playing for Aston Villa, but here he's playing for Brentford. Now, Football Manager did give him a little boost in the January update, but I think he needs another boost because, yeah, his technicals and mentals are probably about right. He's proved himself in the Premier League with a hat-trick against Liverpool, but that could have just been a one-off game. He needs to do it for a good amount of time first. But the thing that strikes me wrong about Ollie Watkins are his physicals. He's a really fast player in real life, like really direct, just sprints, gets in there. Obviously, he'll probably be a natural striker this season as well in Football Manager. But when you look at his physical stats, he doesn't look that impressive, where in reality, he is really quick. His acceleration and pace are due an upgrade, and I think he will get an upgrade, being Aston Villa's #1 striker this season. So expect to see Ollie Watkins a bit more in Football Manager, appearing in your Premier League saves. Okay, now we're looking at Edouard Mendy, who obviously is playing for Rennes here, but he has joined Chelsea in real life. I'm not saying he's performed amazingly for Chelsea yet. He's only had a couple games, looked decent, but nothing much more than that. His stats look decent here, not great, just average goalkeeper stats, but the thing that strikes me is when I did my Chelsea save test where I put in the new team and simulated it, Willy Caballero played more games than Edouard Mendy did. Now, that wasn't anything to do with injuries or anything like that, but Mendy just isn't really rated highly in Football Manager, and I don't blame him. He kind of slipped under everyone's radar. Only a few years ago, he was apparently considering retiring from football as he didn't have a club. All of a sudden, he works his way up to being one of the best goalkeepers in Ligue 1 and now playing as probably Chelsea's #1 goalkeeper. I can't see Kepa keeping his spot. So I think some of his physicals and goalkeeping attributes deserve a little bit of a boost, if not much, just a little bit. But the thing that strikes me is his determination. This is a man who's gone from almost being not playing as a footballer to being a footballer at Chelsea within a few years. He's really pushed himself hard to be a professional goalkeeper, and I think 12 determination for that needs to go up. I think he is due an upgrade, especially seeing as he's playing for Chelsea now. So expect to see Edouard Mendy as Chelsea's starting goalkeeper in your Football Manager saves, which, let's be honest, if you signed him in FM20, he definitely wouldn't be. Two players left now, and we're looking at HeungMin Son. Son obviously plays for Tottenham, left winger. He's been really good for him for a number of years, been consistently one of the best players in the Premier League, always gets the job done, and when all the credit goes to Harry Kane, often Son misses out, when in reality he probably contributes just as much to that Tottenham team as Harry Kane does. Now, he is rated fairly high in Football Manager. It's not that he isn't, it's just that he's not one of the best wingers in the Premier League on Football Manager. He definitely is not, but he is in real life. He needs a bit of an upgrade all around, from his mentals to his technicals. I mean, his physicals are already pretty good, but they need to put some respect on Son's name, in my opinion. 12 passing, that could easily go up. His mentals strike me as really low. He definitely needs to an upgrade, and I think he will. So he's one I definitely expect to be better in Football Manager 21. And now we're finishing off with Arsenal's new signing, Thomas Partey. Obviously, he's playing for Atletico Madrid here. He is a pretty good player in Football Manager, don't get me wrong. Again, this isn't players that have been underrated. I just think he deserves an upgrade. It's his technicals that strike me as quite low. I mean, like 14 tackling, 13 passing, 11 dribbling. He doesn't look great, especially if he's going to be starting in an Arsenal team in real life and they've spent all this money on him. I think he needs an upgrade. I think he deserves one. He was good for Atletico Madrid last season too. Not a crazy upgrade for Partey, but just a little upgrade all round, and I think we will see that in the new Football Manager. So that was just 10 players who I think deserve an upgrade in the new Football Manager. Let me know who you think should get an upgrade in the comments down below. Again, if you did like the video, feel free to hit that like button. It really helps me out. and subscribe to see more content like this. So thank you for watching, I hope to see you in the next one, and goodbye.